Hey guys, what's up? Itchlaw coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchlaw. And my apologies, but it just I've not really been giving myself enough time recently at the end of the day. I think it's a combination. Well, I'm just so used to like a long shift, so these really short shifts are kind of jarring for me. It almost seems like easy. Like it's like way too easy. It's almost like comical to me that it's like that. Um, Again, that, like I'm saying that about an 8-hour shift just seems kind of weird, right? Because I guess to most people they complain about it, but I guess it leads me to really continue to be grateful, for my mind and stuff, because as much as the stuff I go through is a little bit complex, I'm probably just better off than a lot of people. I don't know. Like I said, the only real problem in my life is a lack of relatability or ability to connect, really. There's not much else that is wrong, because I just don't care for humor. Humor is fine, but I think I've explained before, I don't get much out of it necessarily. Like, I do to some extent, but it's like, not the hugest, it's not the hugest thing for me, like the main thing for me is to feel comfortable having a serious conversation with a person, Now I'm a little bit confused and concerned because I am sitting at a red light right now, so I wonder if that means the minutes do matter. That's what I'm wondering. The minutes may matter. It's important to know. I guess then I really do need to get in here early. Because now it's... Wow. I went through all this effort to avoid traffic, and this is just ridiculous. So I guess the minutes do matter. Wow. Yeah, it's going to tank the mile per gallon. I must have just missed it, too. Shameful. It's really shameful. It's a long light. And like I said, I just missed it. It wasn't like it must have just had turned red. Yeah, that's just silly. It's hectic. Gotta remember that then. I really gotta... I really gotta get out of here. I gotta get here like very early in the morning. Because this is... Yeah. I didn't realize that, I guess. I've been kind of laid back about it. But I have to push it. I really have to push it. I just do. It is what it is. But really I'm complaining for nothing because at least it's still relatively chill. Like it's so much better than it was at one point, but I really got to be careful. Well, you live, you learn, right? You live and you learn. All right. Now that is over with, let's try to get to some processing. I kind of realized something that I think part of my issue with people is genuinely just the people who I talk to. Because there are, I think, a lot of people where I talk to them and it restores my sanity. And then, there's other people where I talk to them and it makes me think that I'm insane. You have those two diverging groups, right? And just realizing I still think it's probably true that the conversations I have with myself are the best, but it's not always the case that conversations with other people are all that bad. I think what happens is I try to socialize with people my age, and that is really the problem. I just think that, I don't know if it's the way I talk or something, but it just seems better to me. I don't know. It seems like people who are older, I have a way, way easier time talking to. And people who are younger, it's very difficult. It's very challenging. And that's why I don't think what I go through is my fault. Because if it really was my fault, it would be more evident. I would have issues talking to adults, but it's it's restorative to my sanity, But I guess that just didn't really set into me, or I didn't really think of that, because for a while I hadn't really talked to adults too much, but then I did yesterday, and then it sets in that that is the root of the problem. I just think there's a maturity differential with just most humans that I interact with. You know what I mean? I think it's a legitimate thing. I don't know. And I guess I'm hesitant to say that. I'm hesitant to think that. But it is interesting. It's definitely interesting. But yeah, so I'm probably going to get home. I want to estimate 3 or 4 minutes later than I had been, but it still could be under 40. I'm not really sure, but it still could be. I just have to be mindful that I really need to get into my super promptness in the morning, because it matters. It matters a lot. So. But tonight will be good. It's raining, I won't get to run, but I'll have a lot of free time for the first time in a while. There's some things I want to look into. To catch you guys up a little bit, I know the mini PC had been a thing I was obsessing over for a while. And I'm having a bit more of a reservation about it now. And that's only because upon further looking into it, there is cooling issues with these mini PCs, which I guess you would assume, yeah, like no duh, but they're very noisy. And I guess I just wasn't really thinking about that, you know? But it's true. It is noisy, and it's like a little bit annoying. I don't know. To think about like having to deal with that. It just seems like it would be kind of a frustrating thing. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I'm trying to think of ways of maybe just setting up a remote desktop thing and setting that up first and seeing how that goes, because that would be super cool. And yeah, I mean, you know, it goes without saying that that is a far more efficient way to do things. So I'll be looking into that, and I think it's a very cool idea. So stay tuned, because I'm probably going to look into that today when I get home, and it could save me money. Although, for a music player, I have a feeling I'll still need a mini PC at some point. But like I said, I think the truth is I'm just going to have to wait, because it doesn't seem like the tech is really there yet. Now, the one thing I think is closer to being there is the tablet, the ROG Z13 Flow 128 gigabyte 16-core tablet. That's a beast, and I really want it. And that's something where it potentially could actually get used. I could get usage out of. So if I am going to be making any big purchases, I think that would probably be the last one. And I could even make the argument that I should have got that instead of my desktop. But I wasn't really thinking about it. I'm even thinking I could potentially try to sell a bunch of my old stuff that I'm not using to try to scrape a little extra money together to buy it. It's a lot though. It's $3,000, you know, so that's no slouch, but I'm just trying to think of ways I could stomach that purchase better, because that would really be like a mobile end game experience, you know. And I've never actually owned a tablet before. So it's obviously more impressive than an iPad. And I think that, of course, it's still loud, but I think it would be so much more, it's so much better. And actually the tablet form factor on a stand, it's actually superior to the laptop, because a laptop, the fans are facing down, and the tablet, they're facing like upright. So the cooling performance is actually very good on the tablet, despite how compact it is, as long as you have it upright in the tablet position. That is a very cool product. The mini PCs, I'm starting to think it really wasn't a terrible thing that I didn't get it or something. I don't know. Oh my gosh, we're actually hitting traffic. This is unbelievable. I really thought I'd be traffic immune. I don't know. Like I said, it's a shame I can't just, because if I still had the hours I was getting in time, I would have felt completely comfortable buying this stuff. You know, that's like the sad part. Just so a shame. Although it doesn't seem like a dead stall, so I guess that's pretty good. But it's just like, I don't know. If I could just stay late, though, I could afford all this, like, so easily. It wouldn't even... I could just have it now, but... I'm going to have to resist. I think the tablet, though, is, like, closer. But the problem with that is it's still not... Like, I want something that can fit in my pocket that I could reliably use. And the truth is that this current CPUs are just not good enough yet for that, you know? They're just not. Okay, so it doesn't even look like there is traffic. So the slowdown I just got into, I would just attribute to humans driving poorly, because it doesn't even look like there is any bad traffic. Yeah, I don't. That's like really stupid. Yeah, I think it was just poor driving. That's so funny. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it's another thing. I could afford it, but it's not that responsible. And again, it's a little bit too big. I wish they made like a 10-inch. Maybe that would be super cool and impressive. But again, the cooling would be worse. And the 13-inch, it makes more sense as a one-size-fits-all. It would be more expensive for them to manufacture to have an 11-inch and a 13-inch, but I'd probably like a 9-inch. I think that would be like a really cool thing, but we're just not there yet, and I think it's more interesting to look into the remote desktop stuff. It seems to be like that would really be the future in the near future. I mean, I know they're making a lot of improvements, obviously, but I still feel like we're kind of far out from the mini PC devices from really being feasible, with truly cooler operating temperatures and... Why am I blanking? And better battery life. There's still more improvements to be had, So... It is what it is. But yeah. What else is there to say, really? So I'm not sure. I mean, as a music player, it makes a lot of sense for just doing little things, but again, I just didn't really realize that, and so now it's like maybe it would have been kind of an awkward disaster if I had bought it, and I should just hold off and try to do this remote desktop thing, because it could save me a lot of money. We will have to see. We'll just have to see. Because I don't know. I have a feeling the audio quality is going to be pretty poor. But if it's not, then that's kind of fire. So, just things to keep in mind. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, I guess. So there's still things to be happy about. The baby arc, I'm pretty tempted. I've been thinking about that a lot, although I really would just like a second arc. That still kind of bothers me, but it's an annoying thing to buy because it's just like way too heavy. I don't know. And the baby arc is a lot lighter. So it's like, I don't know. It just, I'm not really sure. It's a shame. It's annoying, but it is what it is, right? I don't really know what else needs to be said about that. I could think that maybe No, I can't think of a better way to make it work than just having 2 arcs. Just 2 arcs would just be so perfect. It would be such a perfect setup. The baby arc probably works, but it's a little bit, and it just becomes too involved, right? Like it's just getting to be too crazy. So I probably just shouldn't buy anything. I need to figure out how to rework what I have a little bit better, which is probably possible. Even with the GPU, like I haven't trying to get my GPU to do a little, but even the GPU, that's something I should probably get just because of video RAM, really. I feel like I'm like, I ain't even talking about anything. I'm just nerding out. What about my emotional state? How about how I'm doing? Yeah, like I said, I think I just am like, I legitimately go crazy without good quality conversation, and I just hadn't had it in so long. Now I'm a little bit, because I went on that crazy rant about how talking to myself is always better, and it's recorded, so it's kind of interesting. Now, just a couple days later, I'm already starting to doubt it a little bit. Like, it is very good to just have a good conversation with someone. So, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It feels good. I think it's so few and far between that I get the chance to. But yeah, I don't know what else is there really to add to that, right? I was thinking, yeah, no, it's still, there's just something about good conversation with another living being. Because I still would count AI as talking to yourself. Like, I can't understand how you could classify AI as actually talking to another entity. I mean, it's sort of like that, but I just think it's just like talking to myself. It's not really particularly different, I don't think so, at least. Maybe that's why I'm fairly decent at navigating it, because I already talk to myself a lot. So it just kind of works. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it. I just can't understand how, like, I don't think AI is a replacement. And maybe talking to myself isn't a replacement for other people, as I conveniently thought it was. Although, no, I don't know that I could really do. I mean, even me as the most skilled talking to myself person that I know, I just don't think you can dodge good conversation with an actual living, breathing human. It's just so rare. It's so difficult to achieve that. And people are so wishy-washy, and they're just so out of it. It gets difficult. It gets so difficult. I don't even know. I was losing my sanity, but it's good that it was recorded, I think, because I don't think this means that I ignore all those things that I learned. I think it's true that it's powerful, my ability. It's a very powerful, it's a superpower, and I shouldn't take it for granted. And just because now I realize, well, I always said humans were important, but, now that I realize what I realize, guess it changes things a little bit, but does it really change things that much? I don't know. But I think that's the main idea, and I'm glad it's all recorded, but it's still a step forward. It's still learning to be independent and to not care in a world that doesn't care. It's important for survival, I think. But the return to sanity is a little... It's good, but you know what? It may not be longer until I return back to insanity, and then it's just going to be back to, saying how I was saying, how just my conversations with myself are better. It's just that my conversations with myself they're usually more worth it than a real conversation. That's kind of what the takeaway is. Like, it's usually, usually more worth it. But there are times where I can still find a person who's pretty cool, or plural, or even a lot of people who most of their conversations are not very deep. I can usually bring the best out of people, I think, conversationally. I tend to notice that. And that is also true. It's just that I think there's a certain capacity that gets used up because a lot of people aren't used to my type of interaction. But something I do think about maybe more recently is just how, like, if everybody was like me, how much better the world would be. I mean, it would almost be too good. Like, you would almost need some people to mess things up. And again, it's not even like a narcissistic thing. It's just genuinely what would happen is there would be so much conservation of resources that, people, it would probably make sense to indulge a little bit. It's essentially what would happen. Besides, like, technology, but I honestly think even technology would operate very differently because I actually probably wouldn't have the companies releasing it because it's kind of been a huge waste of, this is really going to be the major turning point. It's been like a huge waste of resources to mass manufacture all this stuff. Like, we should have just waited. Like the iPhone 3G, the iPhone 4, like all this stuff was a lot of waste, and now you have like a bunch of old tech that's just not useful, I probably would have just not had technology reach mass market and have more spacing between, maybe put a limit on Apple and every phone manufacturer. It's only every 2 years, not every year, and things like that. I think that's like a legitimate good idea because there's so much trash that has been And even now, it's still like that. Like, technology should not have been given to the masses. Absolutely not. No, that's a controversial opinion, but just caused so much waste. Even like TVs. They should have just not made TVs until they figured out flat screen. But people are going to say it would have completely changed culture, obviously. And humans are just human. It's still showing just how unhuman I am. Like, I'm not human. I don't relate to humans. I don't really, I mean, yeah, it's weird. I genuinely question my humanity very often. No, we're actually still making great time because it's only 31. Oh, but I started the recording like right on the dot, so that's kind of why that is the case. Yeah, so. But I started the recording right on the dot, so it kind of shifts things a little bit. Anyways, sorry, I got lost thinking about. I was just thinking about work randomly. That was another thing I thought of today. I guess like we're running short on time because I'm coming up with live conversation as opposed to like reflective of the day. It's kind of important to get the reflective in though. I was just thinking about how like I would really be a good CEO of a company. If I ever am, you're going to know what my company is because I do a lot of profit sharing and I personally just wouldn't need that much money. Like, I'd probably live at the company too. I probably wouldn't even have a home because like why would I waste time with a house? You know, I'd probably just like have like a room. Yeah, dude, that's so fire. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, if I was Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, I wouldn't even have any property. I would just, like, live in my office. Isn't that it? Like, does that sound crazy? But that's what I would do. That way, I'm just, like, always at work. Always doing stuff. That's like legit what I would want to do. And my salary, especially if that's the case, because think about it. I was saying to myself earlier today, if I was like the CEO of a company, I'd cap my salary at 100 or 200,000. Honestly, maybe scratch that because I didn't even think of this idea until just now. If I lived in my office, which it would, be a fairly big office, but nothing like ridiculous. But if I lived at the company, which is what I would do, I literally, what would I literally? What am I getting at? Like what? Yeah, it's like a little bit crazy what am I even trying to say? I'd literally, is it Thursday? Yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, I definitely think we could cap it at 100K. If I lived at the company, I probably wouldn't even have a car. Well, no, I'd still probably have a car, but I would hardly ever drive it or it'd be so cheap. There's got to be some CEOs that do that, right? Or am I just that crazy? But yeah, like if I was the CEO of Apple, I'd really give it my all. Like I would just, oh my gosh. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but he obviously makes more than 100. Well, if I was the CEO of Apple, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think I would cut it that high. I mean, honestly, because like that, such a rich company, I'd probably still say that I should be a millionaire at that point. Like I could cap it at $1 million. Because it's just like at that point, I think that's like a little bit too hard. I mean, the 100,000 cut if it was just like a smaller company. I'm just saying as a CEO, I would take less pay than most people would. That's what I mean to say, but it would still be proportionate. Like if I was the CEO of Nvidia or Apple or Microsoft, I mean, it would have to be in the millions, but I'd keep it low. Like I'd definitely be the lowest. It would be like a standout thing, And again, I presume I would run the companies better, so I'm genuinely starting to hope for that like I will end up being a CEO at some point. It's just, again, I think that's the problem, is a lot of the people who are there just aren't the best at doing it. But I would be. I really think I would be. So it could be exciting. I could be the CEO of one of these companies at some point. I just have to get in there. That's really the problem. It's a shame because, again, there's a lot of people who are in those positions who really shouldn't be, but they're there and they have the money and themselves established, so it's like you can't get them out. That's why I recently thought of AI redistribution, which would be a very cool concept where rich people's properties are seized and redistributed and things like that. Because I don't know. I mean, maybe like the king, maybe some people can have like a truly opulent thing going on, but most people shouldn't. Like I'm okay with a little bit of elitism, but the way it is now is just way too much. Alright guys, it's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.